All right, looks like we're live now. We got the mic working, the camera working. I think everything's working. So let me get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump into this. This is a weekly live broadcast, pretty much every Thursday evening. Sometimes things get in the way or there's a holiday. Like last week, we didn't do it because of the holiday. But pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central, this is where I am, and you're welcome to come in here. Ask me whatever questions you want to ask. I do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live broadcast itself. So we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Just keep it friendly, family friendly, polite. Don't be hateful with anybody. Don't start calling anybody names. Any of that kind of stuff. I'll have to kick you out. But other than that, pretty much everything is fair game. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of heads up. I'm not quite 100% today. I've been dealing with a cold. About a day. Well, Tuesday, about midday Tuesday, I started feeling pretty sick. Came and worked from home and been running a fever, 100, 101-degree fever off and on throughout most of the last 2 days. I think I'm pretty much on the downhill side of it. So still a little bit of a sniffle left and a little bit of a cough. And but other than I'm doing okay. I'm just, giving you a heads up. I may not be 100% today, but we'll do the best that we can to get through this. So let's see. We got Dawn in here, says good evening from South Central Illinois. Second like, it's been raining off and on all day today, but a cool 80 degrees. Yeah, 80 degrees doesn't sound bad at all. We had a little bit of a cool spell come through last week, same kind of thing, but it's back up to the mid 90s now. Chester Hickman says good evening. Good evening to you too. TM says, I hope everybody's ready for slightly redneck tonight and wants to know how everybody's 4th of July. How did it go this year? Ours was pretty low key. We didn't really do much. My sister did have a get together on Saturday. We went to for that, but other than that, it was pretty low key. We didn't really do much. Just kind of hung out around the house. Let's see. We got a couple people talking to each other. Hey, Verna, good to see you. Let's see. We got Joy from Western Oregon. Good to see you. It says it's 82 degrees in Western Oregon. That's much nicer. Yeah, that is good. This always brings up, and I know I say this all the time. You guys probably get sick of hearing me talk about this kind of stuff, but on the news this morning, it just drives me crazy. I watch the news, and not the local news, but the whatever Good Morning America or whatever that comes on after that. Whenever they do the weather on there, it's just like they just try to drum up as much excitement, and it's just extreme heat waves going through the nation. It's going to be 100 degrees here, and it's going to be 95 degrees there, and look at this heat indexes in the whatevers, and it's mid-July. It's always that hot in mid-July in Las Vegas or whatever. Now I know Las Vegas did set a record high temperature by a degree or two. I mean, but it's mid-July. It's not unusual for it to be hot and humid in a big part of the country. It's not that unusual, but they got to push their agenda, I guess. Anyway, Scrap 5000 says, what's up? All greetings from New York City. Smash the like button. Thank you. And Verna says, oh, so it is the same here tonight. So you're down in the 80s then. Verna says summer colds are the worst. Yeah, well, I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. It was pretty, I felt pretty run down for the last couple of days. The worst part is I had a cough that went with it. So now every time I cough, my abs are just killing me. Whenever I cough, it hurts. But luckily, I think most of that's reside. It's still a little bit left over, but not too bad. Jacob Wolf says, hello all. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July. It was all right here. Hopefully you did too. Warchild says hello to everyone. Hello to you. Let's see what we got. Oh, I scrolled too far. Hang on. Let me catch up. Marty says hello to everyone. TM says had a lot of fireworks here. Yeah, we didn't do much for fireworks. It was just basically me and my wife. So we went and spent about $100 on fireworks, more than I intended to spend. But my wife likes all the fountains and things like that. So, and I had a coworker that runs one of my coworkers runs a fireworks stand to help raise some money for her kids' college and stuff like that. So we went and supported them. Spent about $100 and mostly just some fountains and things like that. $100 doesn't go very far in fireworks anymore. Hey, there's George Kaiser. Says hello to everyone. Hello to you too. And Jacob Wolf says, we celebrated my birthday on Monday by processing 8 rabbits. It was my first time and it went well. I had someone else there whose experience teach me it was definitely a unique birthday. LOL. Yeah, I bet that is a unique birthday. But hey, glad you got it done, and I'm glad it went well. And happy birthday, by the way. Let's see. Billy Glass says howdy to all. Hello to you too. George Kaiser says, let's see, I knew It was hot in summer and cold in winter. Must be all that climate change I keep hearing about. Yeah, no kidding. It just drives me insane because if you watch it, I mean, they hype it up like it's big news, like it's never been 95 degrees in Texas in July before, or something. It's actually 95 degrees. I think is a little bit cool for this time of year in Texas, isn't it? I guess it depends on what part of Texas. Anyway, and then the chat just stopped. Oh, there's one. Okay, Billy Worley says, "Hey, wanting to start a flock of quail. Is it best to start with chicks or incubate my own? Also, is late summer a good time to start a flock?" Yeah, it's fine. You can start whenever you want to start, really. Now, if you're looking at, I mean, we're talking summer, so you could do either way you wanted to, incubate or get chicks. Now, I would say if you've got a supplier that's fairly close to you that you can get chicks from, or if you're going to be going to QuailCon, because I believe they're going to do a live bird sale there, you might maybe pick up some live birds. If you're not experienced with incubating, that might be your best bang for your buck to start out with, because you just get, I mean, you can buy chicks and then they'll start laying before long, and you can experiment laying or incubating without, if you're new to it anyway, without having to worry about investing in a bunch of eggs that get shipped to you and then maybe having a poor hatch rate. Although you probably still get a decent hatch rate, even if you're not real experienced with incubating. You can watch my series on incubating quail eggs. I've got a whole series on that. That'll walk you through it. So it really is just kind of up to you. I mean, you can get, it just depends. If you've got somebody close to you and you can buy some live chicks from them, that may be a good way to start out, because it gives you kind of experience running them. You don't have to worry about brooding them or anything like that. And then you can build up all that stuff as you go, as you're waiting on them to start laying. So that's kind of the way I would go, I think, if I had the option and I was just starting out. Then again, I'm experienced with incubating now, so I don't mind buying shipped eggs and having them shipped to me and incubating them and getting a 70% hatch rate out of them, and that works just fine too. You get a little bit, you do get more for your money that way, in a sense, if you get a good hatch rate. But if you're not familiar with hatching, with incubating, with brooding, all those kinds of things, you might be better off with just buying chicks to start with, and then you can kind of work that out as you go. Verna says, Brian, incubating your own is a special treat, but if you bought a breeding set, then that is good too. Yeah, there's no definite answer on that one. I mean, it just kind of depends. I know you were probably looking at, you wanted one of us to tell you, do it this way, and this is why, but there's not really a definite answer. George says, I don't really catch colds or flus. I catch bugs from the animals on the farm. Yeah, I don't get sick very often either, but this is really the second time. It was like 2 months ago that I was, I kind of had a fever and was sick for about a day and a half or 2 days. And it's probably just because I started a new job at the beginning of the year. I'm around different people, and it is in a different city, not terribly far away, but still probably exposed to some different viruses and bugs and things. I got to let those go through my system. Jacob says, if you buy birds at QuailCon, do we order ahead of time or just bring the money with us and buy there and take them home? I honestly don't know the answer to that. Verna might be able to. Oh, she did answer. She says, just bring the money. Scrap 5000 said, Chris, my buddy just got back from Cal and he caught COVID there. Not sure if it really matters anymore nowadays, but just a heads up to you. Yeah, well, I didn't actually test for COVID this time. I've had it before. I still have a sense of smell, so I'm assuming it's not COVID, but who knows? Maybe it is. I'm not too worried about that, honestly. I had it before and it wasn't that big of a deal. Andy says, hello, everybody from Middleville, Michigan, population 4259. First Lady Jill Biden was here on July 3rd. Now I think I want to move, LOL. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't move for that, but anyway, yeah, I can't disagree with you. I understand your reasoning there. You can always move to Missouri. We go red every year, every 4 years anyway. Hang on, let me see who this is. It's my wife. Okay, so Brian wants to know, where is QuailCon? And it looks like Verna just placed a link to the QuailCon. It's at Myshire Farm in Miamisburg, Ohio. It'll be Labor Day weekend. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that hurts. Oh, man. Hurts my abs. But it'll be all right. Um, Hang on. My wife's texting me. Where are we at here? Scribe 5000 says, Chris, I have a hatch of 22 Tom Cruise quails. Can you guess why they are called that? I don't know. Are they Scientologists? Isn't he a Scientologist? Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know why they're called Tom Cruise quail. Why would that be? I don't know. I can't. I'm not as quick as. Hang on. Sorry, my wife. I'm texting her back. I'm not as quick tonight as I usually am. I can't figure it out. You can tell me. TM says, do they still stick a swab up your nose? I guess. Probably. I mean, I think that's the only way to test for it as far as I know. Brian says, great, only 1.5 hours from me. Well, awesome. You got no excuse not to be there then. You better get tickets, though. They're going to sell out probably. George Kaiser says, I had to call a couple of male quails yesterday. They were being beaten up by other males. They were so tiny they hadn't eaten of food and water for days. Rather eat small quail than have them die. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. So you had small male. That's odd. It happens, though, sometimes. Andy says, Missouri sounds like a great place to live. Yeah, well, I mean, it is in a lot of ways. I mean, I think we have our problems just like everybody else, but I'm pretty happy with Missouri. I'm kind of biased. I mean, I grew up here. I've lived here all my life, but I love the Ozarks, the beautiful country, fairly cheap land compared to other places. The politics are pretty much in line with what the way I believe. So, that tends to work pretty well too. Just stay away from St. Louis and Kansas City. That's great places to visit, good barbecue, especially Kansas City, but not somewhere you want to live. Trust me on that one. George says, I hadn't paid attention. Obviously got beat up and denied access to the food and water, curled up in the corners of the pens. That's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by another one. Yeah, that's terrible. I don't know that I've ever had that issue. I mean, I throw young baby quail in there. Of course, they don't get beat up because they're not sexually mature yet, so they're not a threat to the other birds. But I've never had any issues with any birds, even when I've had aggression problems, being denied food or anything like that. But I guess it could happen. So, I guess you caught it though. I mean, what can you do, right? Scrap says, LOL, Chris, they're called Tom Cruise quail because they were hatched or born on the 4th of July. Oh, okay. I should have made that connection. You're right. And then says Kansas City has the best barbecue. Boy, they do. That Kansas City barbecue is the best. If you've never had it, it is. Oh, excuse me. It is fantastic. TM says you need a little hospital cage, George Kaiser. Well, I mean, it seems like at that point, though, I think you're right. I mean, put them out of their misery. Don't let them suffer. Go ahead and process them and eat them. Billy Glass says, I got a question. I had 3 batches of 60 eggs, only 4 at each hatched. I got a thermometer, 100.3, but only got 4 to hatch. I'm disappointed. What is going wrong? Boy, there could be a number of different things. Let's see. Is this a forced air incubator? I'm assuming it is. So 100.3, you only got 1 thermometer. Did you calibrate the thermometer to make sure the thermometer is accurate and it's not off by a degree? Is it reading the same as the incubator? Did you have to adjust your incubator to get the thermometer to read 100.3? I mean, those are some questions I would have for you. You said 60 eggs, only 4 hatched. Huh? That's terrible results. So I don't blame you. I mean, I'm assuming your eggs are fertile. I mean, if you've got males in there, you got the right male hen to, I mean, even if you don't have low fertility, I mean, that would be awful low to only have 4 hatch. If you don't have a forced air kit, that may be it, because, you may have hot spots in your incubator. There's a whole lot of things that could go wrong. So give me some of that information. We'll try to troubleshoot it a little bit more. George Kaiser says, I do have that. TM, I have 3, but I couldn't be bothered. Just call them and eat them. Hadn't looked in for about a week, and it's winter here. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, all those things make sense too. Brian says Texas barbecue is better, LOL. Well, I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Are you from Texas? Because people in Texas believe everything in Texas is better, and that's just not true. Texas has got a lot going for it, don't get me wrong. And there is a big difference between Texas barbecue and Kansas City barbecue, and they're both very good, don't get me wrong. I lived in Texas for a while, and they had pretty good barbecue, but it's not the same. They're two different things. In Texas, it's almost entirely beef, very little pork, if any, almost all beef. They don't tend to sauce their meat. So whenever you order Texas barbecue, it's served with no sauce. Sauce is on the side. It's not like, basted on there and baked on it. So if that makes sense. So anyway, we can argue about that. But Texas barbecue is not bad. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say better, though. I think Kansas City beats them. Verna says, there's a lot of things. What incubator do you use? Do you have another thermometer in the incubator that was calibrated? Yeah, those are basically the same questions I kind of have there. So we'll see what we can get on an answer. Billy says, yes. Got 3 all read the same. Okay, so yes, you have another one. Okay, hang on. I'll get to that here in just a second. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, I've got chuckar hatching as we speak. I think a dozen so far. Going to be great eating. Well, nice. Hopefully that goes well. So you've got 3 thermometers in there, and they all read the same, is what you're saying, I'm assuming. And then Vernon wants to know, where did you get the eggs from? That's a good question, I guess. I mean, I would assume they're all, how long did you save the eggs up for? What temperature did you store them at? Were they your own eggs? Were they shipped in? Give us some information on that stuff, and then we'll see what we can do to figure it out. George Kaiser says, American barbecue is delish. Yeah, absolutely is. TM says there's a big difference between barbecue all over America. Yeah, that's true. There is. Yeah, I know like South Carolina in that area, it's like mustard-based or vinegar-based sauces, I think. Mustard kind of sauces. Whereas in like Kansas City, it's more of a sweet usually, like honey and brown sugar and that kind of stuff tends to be more prominent. Berna says it all depends on the cook. Yeah, well, that's true. It does depend a little bit on the cook. Probably the most famous place in Kansas City I actually don't like very much. Gates. I don't really care for Gates barbecue that much. I don't think it's that great. It's not terrible. It's just not that great. Brian says, not a fan of sweet. That's why I prefer Texas. Yeah, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with Texas barbecue. But man, a good pork spare ribs or St. Louis cut spare ribs or ribs, man, you can't, if you do those well, you can't beat it. And you don't find that in Texas, really. But they do a good brisket in Texas, that's for sure. Someone Terra says, hello to everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. 104 today. Bunny's got frozen water bottles. Too hot to finish recording for my raising quail and aviaries course. I gave blood today too. Well, nice. Nice of you to do that. That's one thing I cannot do really is donate blood. I just can't stand the feeling of the blood being drawn. I just don't like it at all. So I can't do it. I'm glad there's people that can. Berna says in Central Arkansas, it's a peppery barbecue. Yeah, Arkansas is pretty similar to Missouri barbecue. You say Central Arkansas. I don't know if it's any different in Central Arkansas than other places, but they're pretty similar. They're all pretty, St. Louis has some really good barbecue there too, but Kansas City really is kind of known for the barbecue. Now, I'm saying that the best ribs I ever had are at a place in St. Louis, Missouri. If you've ever been to St. Louis, you need to go to Pappy's Smokehouse or whatever it's called, and order ribs. The best ribs I've ever had. They're fantastic. Billy Glass says, for my hens, they laid them. I put them in the same day. So how many roosters do you have, and how many hens do you have? How old are your roosters, or how old are your hens? That would be what I would ask next. Sorry, I know this is taking some time, but it's just, going in chat like this, it's hard to get it all knocked out at once. We got Patrick from Montreal, Canada. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And then Jim says, check your unhatched eggs. It says unmatched, but I think it means unhatched. Did they start to develop or not? And did you candle them? That's a good question as well. Scrap says, what is the name of that fancy barbecue restaurant in Kansas City metro area? I forget the name of it, but hot dang, it was delicious. Boy, there's a couple of them up there. There's Oklahoma Joe's. There's Jack Stack. Jack Stack, I think, is the other pretty popular, pretty famous one. There's what's the other one? The real famous one too up there. Hang on just 1 second. See if I can look it up real quick. Yeah, Jack Stack's one of them. Slaps is the other one I think is really good. So I don't know if it was one of those. I mean, there's several. There's a lot of barbecue restaurants in Kansas City, and a whole lot of them that are kind of hole in the wall and haven't heard of them before, kind of thing. So Verna says 6-1. So you got one rooster for every 6 hens. That sounds good. Yeah, I would check the fertility. If you've got 3 thermometers in there and they all read the same, I mean, it sounds like your temperature was correct. What day did you go into lockdown? Any of those kinds of things? How long did you wait for them all to hatch before you gave up on it? What day did they start hatching on? Some of those are big questions I have as well. Brian wants to know, how would a flock of chicks cost on average to buy? Are you talking at QuailCon? I'm not sure, honestly. Vernon might be able to tell you that, but I don't really know. So Terry says, I have 2 broody quail. Considering the recent temperatures, I don't think the eggs are still alive. So, well, you never know. It's been awful hot. So yeah, with broody quail though, that's I know we've talked about this before, and you've had them hatch out a few times, I think, but it's not very common that quail will actually hatch out their eggs very well. They usually don't do a very good job with it. Very seldom go broody anyway. I know you raise them in an aviary, so that's probably why you get it more than anybody else does. If we're raising them up off the ground in a cage system, if you're raising an aviary, you got a much more likelihood that they're going to go broody. But even then, they still don't do a great job with hatching out their own eggs. Verna says unhatched eggs can give you a lot of information. Patrick says you can't beat a good T-bone on a grill. Ribs are great too. Yeah, but that's a whole different steak's not barbecue. It's a whole different thing. But hang on. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, steak is different than, that's, yeah, when you're cooking steak on a grill, that's grilling. Barbecuing is like on a smoker and over hours, low and slow. There's a different thing there. But anyway, G. Michael Jr. says hello from, is that Salt Lake City, Utah? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, I called the company that makes super handy feather plucker for you. They were so on a sponsorship because they are huge, but said you should email them at sales@greatcircle US. Huh. Okay, let me pull this up real quick. Let me get my fingers on the right part of the keyboard. Sales at Great. What is this? Here, I can probably just copy and paste it. There we go. All right, I'll take a look at that later. Well, thank you for doing that, reaching out. I appreciate it. Andy says, love your shirt. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Reagan quotes. Scrap 5000 says, Jack Stack, I think, was the place. Amazing. Yeah, Jack Stack's good, but it's not even one of the best, really. Slaps, man. Slaps is fantastic. But Jack Stack is good, and it's very good. So, and Tara says, cooking your car in this heat. My video for cooking beef in your car went out Tuesday. More people should do that. If you have a car, you have a solar oven. I guess that's true. Verna says, I'm not sure of the price at QuailCon, but they will be less expensive than the website. So you can go check the website where the price is. That'll give you a pretty good estimate anyway. Bob says, one of my quail was not feeling well, so I decided to process her. I found what looked like a golf ball sized water balloon attached to her upper chest. Any idea what could have caused that? Yeah, that sounds like an impacted crop or something. It's just something that happens every great once in a while with birds. All birds are kind of susceptible to it. I mean, there are ways to treat that, but I mean, it sounds like you got it kind of figured out. It's nothing to worry about as far as like, it's not like a contagious thing or anything like that. Patrick said, okay, sorry, I came in late and missed the barbecue part. Oh, that's all good. I don't know what you're apologizing for exactly, unless you want to hear more barbecue stuff, but let me know. Scrap says, Chris, YouTube won't let me add the .com part at the end of the email. Oh, I know. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. G. Michael Jr.'s. Hang on. Oh, man. Oh, I feel like I've been doing a ton of sit-ups. That hurts when I cough, but what can you do? All right, says, Chris, are you doing anything extra to assist your quail and rabbits with these high temperatures? Nah, I keep them in the shade. I mean, they're never in direct sun. They're under tree cover and always have shade. And that's all I do. They manage just fine. I try not to pester them too much during the heat of the day, and that's about it. So and Tara says, Chris, have you gotten any of the recent weather events lately? Well, we had a pretty good, not a storm, but rain. I mean, lots of rain came through the other day. This was Monday, I guess it was. We got like, I think we had an inch in 30 minutes. I mean, it was crazy amounts of rain. But that was it. I mean, we got some like flash flooding, localized flash flooding, and then it passed over. It was over and done within an hour or two, and everything's been kind of mellow and calm since then. Starting to get hot. We're supposed to be up over 100 in the next couple of days, but it's that time of year. So, TM says, I think everyone should try making sun tea in this heat. Well, go for it. Buck Reynolds says, hello, everyone. Hello to you, too. Verna says, Chris, you need something to drink to help wash it down. Well, I've got something to drink here. I mean, I've always got a soda handy. I had a bad doctor's appointment the other day. I had to go to the doctor, and he told me that I needed to cut back on my soda intake and drink more water. I guess it could be worse. That really wasn't that bad. Verna says, oh, that was already read that one. Patrick says, I'm apologizing because I'm Canadian. Oh, I can't read all that because there's a stupid little emoji thing in the way. And as soon as somebody posts something, pop up, but it says, I can't read this because is that frickin' Canadian? Maybe. It says it's one of our faults, LOL. It's all good. Verna says, yes, water is what you need. Pepsi leaves a coating in your throat. Yeah, I know. That's what I told him. I'm not that Pepsi leaves a coating in your throat. I said, yeah, I know I need to drink more water and less soda. But anyway. So Abba Love says, question, I put all my quail together in one cage and took out the divider. Now one of my males out of 3 keeps crowing. How do I keep them quiet? They didn't crow last year. Well, that's pretty common this time of year. If they're in breeding season, they're going to crow from time to time. It seems like they do calm down as they get a little bit older. So, and chances are, I mean, you put them all together so there's more hens available. So he's trying to establish his dominance and attract the mates. He's crowing for that reason right there. Give him a little bit of time and he'll calm down. What? Oh, sorry, I got distracted. But I don't know. I mean, there's no way to really, and aside from putting them in the dark, which is going to make them stop breeding and stop laying eggs, there's not really a whole lot you can do to keep them from crowing. But give him just a little bit. He'll calm down. He won't crow nearly as much. And then Soatera says, that was me making it so you could read it. Oh, the high was. So it would scroll up one. I got you. Yeah. I think I figured it out, though. I did get it. Thank you for that, though. I appreciate it. Joe Sandy says, excuse me. Oh. All right. Joe Sandy says, hey, everybody. Lost track of time, but I'm here. Well, thanks for joining. You know the deal. We don't keep attendance here, so it's all good. I appreciate you being here. Verna says to Abba, he's calling us females. Yeah, I agree. That's probably what's going on. Scrap 5000 says to Patrick, he's sorry about the Stanley Cup. If it helps, my family and I hate Florida. I don't know. I don't watch hockey, so I'm assuming that's hockey, right? Stanley Cup. So I can't really speak to it. But anyway, Joe Sandy says, I just experienced the weirdest thing, and then is going to leave us in suspense and not tell us what it was. I'm sure you will here in just a minute. Verna's saying, what happened, Sandy? Scrap 5000 says, Chris, you are a heck of a trooper. Thank you so much for still hosting this live, even though you are so sick. Huge applause and thank you. Well, to be fair, if it would have been last night, I wouldn't be doing it. I felt pretty rough yesterday. Last 2 days, I felt pretty rough. I went in and laid down on the couch. I worked from home I came home at noon on Tuesday, worked from home yesterday, worked from home today. And when I came home at noon on Tuesday and worked from home, 5 o'clock, I shut down and I went and laid on the couch, fell asleep for an hour and a half, and then went to bed at about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and slept all night. And pretty much the same thing yesterday. But today, I am getting over it. I still have a cough. I still have a little bit of a sniffle, but I don't feel nearly as bad. My fever's broke. I'm not running 101 fever anymore, so that's good. So don't give me too much credit. But anyway, I figured I needed to join. I didn't put out a video this week, and I wasn't on last week, so. Patrick says, I'm in a good mood. Heading back to Homestead tomorrow. Came into town to get feed for the rabbits and pick up a dozen silver-laced Wyandotte chicks for my neighbor. Well, awesome. And then, we're still waiting on Sandy to tell us what the weird thing was. This may be it. Joe Sandy says, I just went to collect eggs. I opened the sandbox door. Back in the corner were all 9 eggs in a pile under a ton of feathers. It looked like a dead quail, but it was just feathers covering the... excuse me. I'm gonna grab a drink here. Okay, so it was just feathers covering the eggs. Like, what the heck, broody hen? What's all the feathers? Kind of sounds like that, but kind of sounds like it. But that is weird. Yeah, when you have all your eggs kind of piled together, a bunch of feathers on them, that seems weird. I mean, they don't pull feathers for. I don't think they do. Anyway, I don't know, honestly. So, and Tara could probably tell us, but Scrap 5000 says, it's so dang humble, too. Yeah, that's one of my strong points is my humility, right? That's a joke, by the way. Yeah, that is weird. So, Sandy says, Chris, have you been sick? I'm sorry, I'll be praying. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been sick. I'm kind of on the down. I'm on the mend now. So, I've been sick the past couple of days. But I'm on the mend now. My fever's broken. Well, we just told all that. You probably heard it, but had already posted the comment. Kim says, hi. I hatched 12 quails 2 weeks ago, but they're all losing their feathers on the top and the chest. You know what's wrong with them? Thanks. Now, that sounds odd at 2 weeks old. I mean, it sounds like molting, but at 2 weeks old, I wouldn't think they're molting. It may be that they're just growing in their full feathers. I don't know. You don't have them in. I don't know, honestly. I couldn't tell you. I don't think it's something I would stress about too much. But, it sounds odd. So, and Tara says, Patrick, what kind of rabbits do you have? I have a New Zealand buck, and my does are crosses between New Zealand and California. Did I miss a rabbit comment from him? I must have. Joe Sandy says it was a huge pile of feathers. So, and Tara says, my broody birds don't pull feathers in the nest. I didn't think they did. Strange. TM says, I hope you can still smell. LOL. I hope it's not COVID. No, I still have a sense of smell, so everything's good on that. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, back. For Vernon wants to know if they're in a cage or an aviary. I think it was in a cage, right? Yeah. Says I just built a hutch I built a hutch just like Chris's, so very similar to mine. TM says better wear a mask just in case. Yeah, I worked from home the last couple days. We'll be okay. Verna says, interesting, Sandy, never heard of that happening. Yeah, that's unusual for sure. I don't know. I don't think I'd worry about it too much. I mean, it could just very well be that you got some birds that are molting and, lost some feathers or something like that. I mean, this time of year, I see, groups of feathers in my hutch. They don't tend to be in a big pile altogether, but sometimes, but not usually huge piles either, but you never know. I mean, it could be that anyway. Scrap 5000's making fun of me, says I'm not that sick. Cough, 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 cough. Excuse me. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's the leftover is what it is. But anyway, Patrick says, question regarding quails. How do they fare in the cold? I'm thinking about meat production. I already get perfect chicken eggs from the neighbor's chickens, and she gets rabbit meat in return. Yeah, quail handle cold really, really well. What was I going to say? They handle cold really well. I don't know where you're located, how cold it gets exactly where you're at, but we get down below 0 Fahrenheit sometimes, and they do just fine. Anyway, as long as you give them a windbreak, a way to get out of the wind and the weather, they do just fine in the cold. Let's see where we at here. Joe Sandy says, Chris, my grandpa would say you need to give up those cheap cigarettes. I already did. That's the point, right? That was a while back. Buck says, will wild quail put feathers when they start setting? Well, that makes sense. I mean, I guess they would. So Terry says, they do well with the cold. Patrick, how cold does it get where you're at? Or where you are? She said it properly. I said it wrong. And Verna's saying the same thing. They can handle cold as long as they can get out of the inclement weather. People raise Coturnix quail in Alaska. That's true. Patrick says, my rabbits are American Sable, California, and American Chinchilla. Joe Sandy says, I know I've watched that video. I was afraid you were quitting YouTube. Was glad when it was cigarettes. Yeah, terrible habit. Should have never started, but, everybody's got a vice, I guess. Oh, I'm looking pretty rough right now. You guys probably can't tell. I haven't shaved in a couple of days. So, but I jumped on here anyway. It's all right. You probably can't tell too well because my hair is not that dark. I haven't shaved my head in a couple of days either. You might be able to see that a little bit better. Anyway, Berna says you look fine, Chris. Thank you. Fat Country says, Chris, what meat birds have you raised other than Cornish? Well, other than quail and Cornish cross, that's it as far as meat birds go. I haven't. We had some ducks when I was a kid, like 2 of them. That doesn't really count, I don't think. We didn't eat them. But no, I've never raised any other meat birds. Scrap 5000 says, does anyone have a favorite product they use for tanning rabbit hides? I really can't speak to that. I've never really bothered tanning mine, but anyway, somebody else can probably speak to that a little bit better. So Tara says, glad you're on the mend, Chris. Thank you. I'm glad too. Joe Sandy says, I like your beard. Just saying. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I can't quite grow a full beard. I've got, I'm primarily Irish, but I've got just enough Indian that I have patches where I don't grow any hair at all. And so I can't grow a full beard. My wife's happy about that. She doesn't want me to grow a full beard. Scrap 5000 says duck eggs are the best. They are. Duck eggs are fantastic. I agree. Steve says to Scrap 5000, I'm sorry. I may have to end this one early. Can't talk. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, a couple of people are saying to Scrap 5000 salt and alum. There we go. All right, where are we at here? G. Michael says, how goes the garden? Are you prepping for fall sowing? I don't know what I'm going to do for fall. The garden's actually not doing very well this year. My tomatoes got terrible issues with blight, and I haven't been really doing much to take care of them because, well, I've just been kind of lazy, honestly. We didn't grow as much as we normally do. We kind of cut back a little bit. Okra's doing great. Cucumbers and cantaloupe are really starting to take off now. We got summer squash got hit with vine borers and just destroyed it before I could get to it. So that didn't do too well. I do have some new what's it called? Not zucchini. There we go. Zucchini plants started. So they seem to be doing okay right now, but it'll be a little while before they pick up. So we just kind of made it a lighter year than normal, and the tomatoes just haven't done well at all this year. Joe Sandy says, my 18 chicks are 2 weeks old yesterday. They've been off heat for 2 days now. You think I can put them outside tomorrow? It's 80s and 90s daytime here. Probably so. Oh, yeah, probably so. They should be fine. I throw mine outside when temperatures are like that, 2 weeks old. So, and Tara says, Chris, Throat Coat is a good brand for a soothing tea and lozenge. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Scrap 5000 wants to know the address or P.O. box. Do I send you the tomato seeds from Italy? Yeah, I'll have to try those out. So, yeah, you can send them to me. Did you send me email on that? I don't remember, honestly. If you sent me email and I didn't respond to that, I'm sorry. But here, I'll just give you my address. I'm going to put it out here on YouTube for the world to know. It's 1501 West 17th, Joplin, Missouri, 64804. You can replay and get it if you didn't catch it all at once. So Tara says, so sad. Slugs are my cantaloupe and honeydew melon starts this year. Yeah, well, that's why I'm way behind on getting. I mean, my plants are about this tall. Well, probably a little taller now, but not much. This tall because I got such a late start. And the first 3 times I started them, slugs ate the tops of them off. So I started really going to town with the slug bait, got them under control, and now I got cantaloupe and cucumber growing. Oh, yeah, I had that problem too, though. Jacob says a local rabbitry owner is retiring and has offered me pedigree and purebred rabbits, 14 does and $8, all the housing, feeders, waters, and nest box, plus extra cages and the client list. Wow, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. Hopefully he's giving you a good price on it, but that sounds like a great deal. Jacob says, I'm unsure whether to do it. Whether to do what? What are we talking about? Did I miss? I'm sorry, Jacob. I don't know what we're talking. Oh, you're unsure whether to. I missed. That was a comment you just made about the local rabbitry owner. Okay. Well, I mean, it depends on the price and all that, but I mean, if you really want to get into it, I mean, that sounds like an easy way to do it right there. RBL Jackson says our garden sucks this year too. Spring was great for rain. Then it went super hot and dry. Garden has suffered from that. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple issues with it. I haven't really paid a whole lot. Oh my goodness. Can't quit coughing long enough to talk. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the garden this year. I've kind of been lazy with it and just haven't really done much. I had some blight issues early on and I didn't address it quick enough, so they kind of killed off a lot of my plants. Then we had the squirrels come in and start grabbing the few tomatoes that we had growing. They were taking them green off the plant. I set out the tomato or the squirrel cage. I've caught 10, I want to say, in the last couple of weeks, and I saw another one out there this morning. So I'm trying to get control of the squirrels too. Patrick says I've located 4 miles north of Montreal. I get cold weather. I can get to negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but usual winter is negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I can heat the coop. I have an insulated 7x12 shed unheated. It is around the freezing point. Yeah, they'll do fine around the freezing point. In fact, they do fine in -20, just as long as you can keep them out of the wind. They'll do okay. Joe Sandy says, I feel for you. Last year I lost most of my tomatoes to blight. This year I don't have any, but I planted zucchini multiple times with no germination. Peppers are stunted. Mustard greens are bolting. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And then you said earwigs are eating holes in everything. Easy earwig trap. Just a small dish, Tupperware style container, fairly shallow. A little bit of vegetable oil or olive oil. Vegetable oil is cheaper, so use vegetable oil. A couple of splashes of soy sauce and set that out by your plants, and you'll catch hundreds of earwigs. It's pretty easy. Just make sure it's not going to rain that night, or you have to redo it. Verna says, Patrick sounds good for that shed. If you want eggs all year long, then put a light in the shed. That's true. But if it's freezing, if it stays at freezing all year, then putting a light in, you're just going to get frozen eggs. I got to step away for just a second. I got to blow my nose because it's starting to run. I'll be right back. All right. Jacob says, I was planning on expanding this year anyways, but not necessarily that much. It's a big bite, but with the deal of just over $1,000, it's a deal of a lifetime. I don't ever see coming again. Yeah, I can't answer that question for you. That's something you're going to have to kind of figure out for yourself. Joe Sandy says, Chris, I don't drink, but if I get really sick with a cough and nothing else helps, especially if I can't sleep, I'll mix lemon juice, honey, and whiskey. Yeah, it's a hot toddy, basically. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. This has not really been so, it's because I'm talking so much is why I'm coughing so much. Hasn't really been that big of a deal. It's not keeping me awake at night or anything like that. But like I said, it's significantly better than it was. It's just I'm talking so much. That's why it's acting up right now. TM says, did your stacking planters do good? Yeah, those are great. The green stock planters are fantastic. And like I said, I have a discount link in my videos. If you ever want one, you can get a discount on it using that link. But they're they are fantastic. They work really well. Jacob says most are 1 to 2 years old. One buck is almost 3. We got another couple years on it probably before you have to worry about replacing them. So yeah, sounds pretty good. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. You're saying you already have 4, and that's a lot of rabbits. You've never had more than 6 breeders at a time, plus a lot of feed. Yeah, that is a lot of feed. And Jacob says, I want to do it. I'm just a little scared, that's all. Hey, I understand. Joe Sandy says, man, we should let him go to bed, poor guy. Yeah, are you talking about me? I'm not going to bed yet. I got another hour and a half before I go to bed. Patrick says, how much should I pay quail chicks? I can get those here. Incubating seems a lot of trouble. What are your thoughts? Incubating is not that hard, but if you're not experienced with it, you may be best starting with some birds and then, work on getting your incubator and incubating some eggs. So if you have poor hatch rates, you're not really out anything because it's your own eggs. Usually around here, birds go for about $5 a bird. Unless they're young, like chicks, you can get them cheap, but full-grown birds about $5. And Verna says, with the shed being insulated, it may be above freezing depending on how many quail you have in there. Yeah, that's true. Verna's posted the link for Berkshire Farm product category. You can see kind of what the quail run. And yeah, Steve says if you're getting the client list, you're ahead of the game. Go for it. Scrap 5000 says I got talked into taking over just a few rabbits. Then I'm so grateful that I did, and the seller was 2 hours away, so I didn't even get his clients. Made back my profits literally 10 times what I paid. Well, that's good. Jacob says I have the room. Yes, I've seen their rabbits win the Grand and Reserve at our local fair and in an adjoining county the last 3 years. Nice. Joe Sandy says, Chris, I was thinking about getting a green stock. Do you think you can leave perennials like strawberries in it over the winter? You probably could. I mean, it depends on really how cold it gets there. They are in containers, so it will kind of so if you get really cold, you may end up with it freezing, the container freezing itself, which may kill off the strawberries, but I think it would work just fine for strawberries. Patrick says the shed will probably stay around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's adjacent to my heated rabbit coop. When it gets really cold, the quail will get an electric oil heater to keep it around 35 to 40 degrees. Yeah, that's fine. They'll do fine with that. Hello, Governor says, anybody know a rabbit feed that is worth the pay? The one I usually get has doubled the price for less pounds. I would like to find a better option. Thanks. Located in Illinois. I buy a local. It's a Missouri mill. A mill in Missouri. Not the brand is not Missouri Mill, but it's a mill in Missouri. So I can't really speak to what's available in Illinois. Hopefully somebody else can. Steve Sadnick says Chris Blaine's Farm and Fleet was selling quail chicks for $7 this spring. Crazy. That is crazy. Verna's saying to check out Chewy. That's who I use, and they deliver. Interesting. Jacob Wolf says, yeah, that's what I've been leaning towards. I just need to ballpark how much feed I'll go through and estimate my cost. Caesar says, Chris, better late than never. I got the feed at the store. I noticed grain mites on it. Should I still feed or get rid of it? Thanks. I think I would contact the store and get them to replace it. But, it'd be fine to feed to the rabbits. The grain mites aren't going to hurt the rabbits. They're not fur mites. They're grain mites. So, that'll be okay. But I would contact the store and get them to replace it and let them know. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap this one up just a little bit early. I can't hardly talk anymore. I'm having this coughing fit. So chat has kind of slowed down. So I think we'll wrap it up. We're only about 7 minutes early. And sorry, but held in there as long as I could. So we'll get back on next week, hopefully. I don't see any reason why not. And until then, guys, God bless, and we'll see you next week. Take care.